there's Xanax, and then there's Sony's State of Play. I think the State of Play puts me to sleep a lot faster. Stay with me. So I just finished watching that State of Play. We're going to peruse through the information that IGN put up. The first thing they started with was Moss Book 2, and Moss is a great PlayStation VR game, and the sequel is Welcome. And I thought it was interesting that they started with virtual reality. I enjoy virtual reality. I think PSVR is fantastic. So starting with that, I had some hope that maybe we'd get some information on the next iteration of PlayStation VR. But of course, we didn't get any of that. Just the sequel to what is a great PlayStation VR game. So that was sort of the beginning of the show, and I had some hope. And then we got something called Arcadegadon. I have no idea how to say it. Essentially, it's a multiplayer clone of Fortnite. It's a shooter that can be played solo or in 4-player co-op. That's a theme lately, these games that can be played quote-unquote solo, or we really designed the game to be played co-op with 4 people. And the single-player solo experience is going to be shit. Next was Tribes of Midgard, and that's going to be a sort of a special saga quest and season exclusive item that you can get in this game. I have no idea what it is. It's going to launch with the Wolf Saga season, and will introduce a new rune system. There's some information up on IGN if you're interested in that. I'm not. Then we got Hunter's Arena Legends coming to PS4 and PS5. That's a theme here, PS4 and PS5. This is an RPG MOBA. When I hear that, I instantly go to sleep. Next is Fist. I love saying that like that. Fist, forged in Shadow Torch. That actually looked pretty good. It reminded me of almost like a Journey type experience that I played on the PlayStation 4. Again, that comes to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC on September 7th. And then Sifu, believe it or not, Sifu. But we got a new trailer. We found out it's going to be delayed to early 2022. It's coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC again. Then we got Jet the Far Shore. I think that's the game I'm thinking of when I think Journey. That looked okay. But again, nothing that people are going to go crazy about. It's going to release this year on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Again, most of these games are third-party indie games that are going to come to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X. So, not a lot exciting when it comes to PlayStation-centric games or gameplay. Next up, Sega showed an extended Demon Slayer gameplay. Again, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S. And then the sequel to Judgment called Lost Judgment will include a free next-gen upgrade for both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Essentially, it's a free upgrade for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Sega also showed 3 different versions with a digital Ultimate version, including a story expansion. So if you buy the game digitally, you get more content than you do if you buy it physically. How's that for a sign of the times? Next up, we got Death Stranding Director's Cut, which is essentially Death Stranding, the game that it should have been when it released way back when. And then, believe it or not, what this show was solely about was this one particular game, and that's Deathloop. And this was an advertisement for a fantastic studio that Microsoft just acquired. So if you're interested in Deathloop, you thought it looked great. I thought it looked really good. It reminded me of the game that Arcane Studio did, and the name is Dishonored. I pulled that one out of my ass. Dishonored, great series. And again, the gameplay is reminiscent of Dishonored. And this is one of those games that you can play by yourself or with 4 people. But after seeing this trailer, I do believe that this is one of those games that actually can be played solo and be very, very good. But one thing I got out of the show was that Microsoft picked up one hell of a studio in Arcane Studios and Bethesda. And if Sony's highlighting this work and this studio at this show, and that's the best thing that they showed, then clearly Microsoft picked up a great studio. Deathloop will come to the Xbox, will come to Game Pass, and anything Deathloop in the future will be exclusive to Game Pass. So ultimately, if you watch this State of Play, and you weren't put into a coma and you just fell asleep through most of it and woke up when Deathloop was shown. You got treated to an advertisement for a studio that Microsoft now owns. A great game with great gameplay coming exclusively to the PlayStation 5. That one is a strange one, right? Microsoft's going to publish a game on the PlayStation before they actually publish one on their own platform for their own user base. However, if you look at it another way, as an advertisement for a great studio, and again, the best thing at this show, this PlayStation State of Play, was a Microsoft-owned studio and their new IP, Deathloop. So that was the State of Play. My take on this show was that if you took Thorazine and then drank decaf coffee and then ran into a brick wall head first, you'd probably be more conscious after doing that than watching this State of Play. It was the most boring, most uninspired PlayStation State of Play I've ever seen, and maybe because there were unfair expectations placed upon this, but look, they released the stellar Ratchet and Clank and then the stellar Returnal. They're the only next-gen console that released actual next-gen exclusive games from their first party for their new console. So I guess you can kind of forgive them for sort of killing the momentum with this show. But one thing they did do is hype up the momentum for Xbox and Xbox first party, because Deathloop, again, looked fantastic. And if Arcane is doing work like this, what will the work look like in the future that's exclusive to Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Game Pass, whatever else I'm supposed to say, cloud, whatever. So that was my take on the State of Play. It was absolutely terrible. I sat through it. I watched it on my phone. I just couldn't believe that this was it. And I get it. People gave Sony a lot of shit for not focusing on indie titles, talking about indie titles, talking about AAA games. They want to make bigger games. But clearly they're still focused on indies. And clearly developers who make indie games want to be on PlayStation. It's just that I think that most people were waiting for a show akin to an E3 presentation because Sony missed E3 again. Microsoft was there. They had a pretty good show. And I don't think this was the answer to Microsoft's E3 from Sony. This was clearly something that was meant to highlight Deathloop and Arcane Studios, and by default highlight Microsoft and their first-party acquisitions and how great they've been and how great they're going to be in the future. So let me know what you think about this State of Play in the comments section below. And do me a favor, like and subscribe, please, and share my videos out. I don't have social media, and it helps me grow the channel immensely. We're doing incredibly well here, 94 subscribers. Let's try and get to 100. I'll see you in the next video. Again, State of Play was a state of decay, a state of no play, a state of, I don't know, whatever works. See you in the next one.